Hey, it's time to surf the web with Mr. Halverson.
The ancient Greeks believed in achievement, power, strength, but they believed in balance. They thought if you had too much arrogance, meaning too much pride, too much love of yourself, then you would offend the gods. And they also found it offensive themselves. And sometimes myths are also a way of telling people just behave yourself. You're an obnoxious neighbor. The word for this is hubris, Hubris. Write that down. Hubris means overweening pride, too much pride. And in the case of Arachne, in the story we're about to read, Arachne had just too much pride. She was an arrogant girl, and that is something that the Greeks did not like. The Greeks went to war against too much pride. Now, they were a proud people, and they believed in being very, very proud in front of other men to prove your prowess, like at the Olympics, which they invented. So they believed in showing off your strength and your abilities. However, they didn't believe that you should gloat about it. They felt your life should be in balance. They believed in something called the golden mean, which meant everything should be in balance. If things weren't in balance, well, then you'd be in trouble either on one direction or the other. Either you'd be offending the gods because you'd be threatening them with your arrogance, or you'd be threatening the gods by poo-pooing the abilities they'd given you, and you were insulting the gods by not showing the strengths that they'd given you. The Athenians loved Socrates. He was part of the pride of Athens. He was, of course, somebody that became famous all over. But he had a lot of pride. And when the Greeks had their plague coincided with a war with Sparta. And the Spartans took over Athens and rampaged it for quite a while. And when the Athenians tried to pick up the pieces after that war, they blamed it on different things. One of the things they blamed it on was they felt the gods were mad and didn't protect them, partly because of Socrates. And one of the reasons they picked out for blaming Socrates was he had too much pride, too much hubris. And he would insult the gods and question the gods, and he acted in a way like he wasn't afraid of the gods, which is something that they thought you should be. All right, but let's go to war against ignorance and understand some important vocabulary. First comes the word well-born, W-E-L-L-B-O-R-N. Well-born means you come from a high, upstanding family. It means you come from, like a rich area, famous, like Athens would be a rich, famous area to come from, rather than an obscure town, one that people hadn't heard of. Obscure means not important and not well known. So if you come from an obscure town, it might be one that people haven't heard of. It's so small. And if you're not well born, you might be from a place like that. And then you have the word high standing loom. A high standing loom is a tall loom that was used for weaving cloth in a horizontal way. So when you hear they're talking about her using a high standing loom, that means it's something they use to weave cloth. When they talk about rolls of wool, they use the word skeins, and skeins means rolls of wool. That's what Arachne uses to weave her stuff. An important Greek idea, one that comes up in theater and comes up in all kinds of Greek mythology, is the word fate. Fate is something that's the ending of things. You can't change it. You can't change the outcomes. The outcomes are going to happen. You try to defy it, because that's what we try to do. We all try to defy the fates, but the fate is the ending of something you can't change. The word obstinacy. You'll hear that somebody is obstinate, or that there's obstinacy in the story. That means being stubborn and unreasonable. You're going to hear about the word dye. Her father dyed wool. That means he changed the color of wool. He was good at coloring things. Here's some other words that are important to know. You might want to know the word shuttle. Shuttle will be in the story. They'll talk about shuttle, which is a piece of wood that helps to hold the wool in place when they're weaving. A nymph. A nymph is a minor goddess in Greek mythology, a goddess of nature. They appear in the woods usually.